Tonight at 6 p.m. Eastern over on Jaguar Gatorade, a new college football video drops. In this video, we'll talk about something that happened at BYU in the 1990s. And join me tonight on Twitch at 9 p.m. Eastern where we'll play NFL Trivia for cash prizes. Link to play below. And now, on with our feature presentation. We're a third of the way through this 2022 season, and right now, the race for Defensive Rookie of the Year is wide open. You've got a lot of worthy contenders, and a lot of guys who came into this league and made an immediate impact. Jacksonville Jaguars linebacker Devin Lloyd has been an absolute beast and an open field tackling machine. New York Giants defensive end Kayvon Thibodeau, ever since coming back from that injury in the preseason, has looked like a one-man wrecking crew as of late, forcing tons of pressures and making life a living nightmare for opposing quarterbacks. And then, you've got my favorite player in the entire draft class, New York Jets cornerback Sauce Gardner, who might already be a top 5 cornerback in football, and who has been locking down guys like a seasoned veteran. But even though all of those guys have been playing lights out to start off the year, they were all first-round picks. To at least some extent, there were high expectations on them from the onset, as though they were expected to be good and live up to their first-round draft pick status. When you get to day 3 and get to the 5th round, it's a lot tougher to find impact players. There are some players who were drafted in the 5th round on defense that haven't even played a snap yet. Guys like Seattle Seahawks defensive end Tariq Smith, who was drafted out of Ohio State with pick number 158, New Orleans Saints linebacker DeMarco Jackson, who was drafted out of Appalachian State with pick number 161, Cincinnati Bengals safety Tyson Anderson, who was drafted out of Toledo with pick number 166, and Dallas Cowboys linebacker Damon Clark, who was drafted out of LSU with pick number 176, just to name a few, have all, for some reason or another, not played a single snap thus far. If you can find a player who can make the roster as a 5th rounder and contribute in some capacity, that's really good. If you can find a player who can make the roster as a 5th rounder and crack his way into the starting lineup, not because your roster is depleted of talent, but because he's that much of a stud, then that's incredible. And if you can find a player in the 5th round who's already a star and is already one of the best at his position, then you just won the lottery. The Seahawks know this all too well when they drafted Richard Sherman in the 5th round of the 2011 NFL Draft, as he only went on to become one of the best cornerbacks of all time and a surefire Hall of Famer. And by God, it seems like they struck gold again. Because with that, allow me to introduce you to this man right here that you've been watching this whole time, Tariq Woolen. Woolen is still relatively new to the cornerback position. When he got to UTSA, he was a wide receiver, but switched to cornerback in the middle of the 2019 season, and only started playing the position regularly on the field in 2020. And yeah, there were a lot of red flags surrounding him. There's a reason why he fell all the way to the 5th round. He was super raw at the position, and there was probably a lot of work for refinement. His tackling left a lot to be desired, and it was one of the main reasons why I wasn't super high on him coming out of college. But there was one thing that you couldn't deny. He was going to get an opportunity because he was blazing fast. When you're 6'4" and you can run a 4.2 640, someone's going to take a chance on you. Those measurables are too good to pass up, especially in the 5th round when we're starting to scrape the bottom of the barrel. But I don't care how much you like Woolen coming out of college. Even if you were super high on him, no one, and I mean no one, expected him to do what he's been doing to start his career off. Through the first 6 weeks of the season, Tariq Woolen has 4 interceptions. He's been making opposing quarterbacks look silly and has been locking down opposing wide receivers. In his last 4 games, he's got a pick in each of them, including a game against the Detroit Lions, where on the first play of the 3rd quarter, he intercepted a Jared Goff pass and took it 40 yards to the house for a pick 6 and the first touchdown of his career. I have a feeling it won't be the last. Through the first 6 games, Woolen is tied with Jordan Poyer of the Buffalo Bills for the most interceptions by any player in the league. But remember, Poyer is a 31-year-old safety. This means that not only does Tariq Woolen lead all rookies in interceptions, but he leads all cornerbacks, period, in this category. I'm not even sure you could bet on Woolen to win Defensive Rookie of the Year at the start of the season. Now, he's one of the favorites, and he's a big reason why the Seattle Seahawks have been a pleasant surprise thus far with a 3-3 record. And with how great of a start Woolen's had, it got me to thinking, just how good, historically speaking, is this start? Is this sustainable? Obviously, I'm not talking about the part where he has an interception in every single game. That's clearly not sustainable. But with the part about him being a great cornerback, you never know with any rookie, but especially a 5th round pick, if it's just a fluke or if it's legit and bodes well long term. Well, here's some good news for Seattle. Very few defensive backs have gotten off to the start that Tariq Woolen has gotten off to. And of the defensive backs that have, let's just say that Woolen is in some really good company. Because when you break it down, Tariq Woolen has been historically good. Here's the criteria that I looked at, and it's incredibly straightforward. Through the first 6 games that your team played in your rookie season, you had to have at least 4 interceptions. I don't care how you got those picks. I don't care what your return yardage was on those picks. I don't care if you got torched on every other play. The only criteria that I'm looking at is that you've got to be a defensive back, so either a quarterback or a safety. And as a rookie, you had to have 4 interceptions in your team's first 6 games. Unsurprisingly, there aren't a whole lot of players to do this. Since 1980, excluding Woolen, there have only been 6 defensive backs to accomplish this feat. But when you look at who those 6 defensive backs are, oh man, you're going to like this one, Seahawks fans, because Tariq Woolen is in highly exclusive and prestigious company. Instead of going chronologically like I sometimes do with these, I'm going to go from worst to first. And the worst name on this list is this guy right here, Anthony Henry, who was drafted by the Cleveland Browns in the 4th round of the 2001 NFL Draft, and had 4 interceptions in his first 6 games, although it should be noted that 3 of them came in one game against the Detroit Lions in 2001, in the infamous game where Ty Detmer played all 60 minutes and threw 7 interceptions. As for how Henry's career went, he led the NFL in 2001 with 10 interceptions, finished 2nd in AP Defensive Rookie of the Year voting, and went on to have a solid 9-year career in the NFL with the Browns, Cowboys, and Lions, recording 31 interceptions, and having an incredible 2006 season down in Dallas, where he defended 21 passes, which was the 3rd most in the NFL. In total, he finished his career with 31 picks, which is inside the top 25 for the most interceptions by any player in the last 20 years. So even though Henry might not have garnered any big-time accolades, he still had a heck of a career. And again, that's the worst name on this list. Since 1980, of all the players prior to Woolen to accomplish this feat of 4 picks in the first 6 games, he's the one who had the worst career. And he had a decade-long career which included a season where he led the NFL in interceptions, and where he was one of the top ball hawks of the 21st century. That will give you an idea of what we're about to be working with. Up next, you have Chuck Cecil, who was drafted in the 4th round of the 1988 NFL Draft by the Green Bay Packers, and had 4 interceptions in his first 6 games, with 2 of them coming in a 27-24 loss to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The bad news for Cecil was that he didn't have another interception for the rest of the season, so that hot start was somewhat of a fluke in that regard. However, when healthy, Cecil was one of the best and most vicious and violent safeties in the entire NFL, highlighted by a 1992 season where he received recognition from John Madden himself and made it to the Pro Bowl following a season where he started all 16 games and recorded 4 interceptions. He might be the hardest hitting safety of all time, and trust me, you knew where he was on the field at any given moment. After Cecil, you've got another player that Seahawks fans should be very familiar with. He's arguably the best safety of the 2010s, and his name is Earl Thomas. For Seahawks fans, he doesn't need an introduction, as after getting drafted in the 1st round back in 2010, he established himself as one of the best safeties in the NFL, and kept up that distinction throughout his career. He had 4 interceptions in Seattle's first 6 games in 2010, including 2 picks in a 27-20 win over the San Diego Chargers. And after that 2010 season, he would go on to play a key part in the Legion of Boom defense, making it to 7 Pro Bowls, 6 of which came with Seattle, recording 3 first-team All-Pro nominations and 2 second-team All-Pro nominations, and being named onto the All-2010s team. Even though he is not yet eligible, and even though some of his actions after leaving Seattle have not exactly helped his legacy, he is a near lock for the Pro Football Hall of Fame due to his reputation as one of the best safeties of the entire 21st century. Next up after Thomas, we go from a man who was a near lock for the Hall of Fame to a man who, if you ask most people, absolutely should be in the Hall of Fame, and that's the legendary Dallas Cowboys cornerback Everson Walls. After going undrafted out of Grambling State in 1981, the Cowboys signed him as an undrafted free agent, and he made an immediate impact by recording 4 interceptions in his first 4 games, including 2 during a nationally televised Monday Night Football win against the New England Patriots. Walls kept this incredible play up throughout his entire rookie season, ending the year with 11 picks, which was the top total in the league. He followed that up with a league-leading 7 interceptions in 1982 and a league-leading 9 interceptions in 1985. There are only 2 players in the over 100-year history of the NFL to have 3 separate seasons where they led the league in picks. One of them is Hall of Fame safety Ed Reed. The other? Everson Walls, who finished his career as a 4-time Pro Bowler, as a man who started 170 games across 14 seasons, as a man who won Super Bowl 25 as a member of the New York Giants, and as a man who finished his career with 57 interceptions, which ranked 8th all-time at the time of his retirement, and ranks 13th all-time today. And for my money, it's long overdue. Put this man in the Hall of Fame already. How he didn't even make it onto the All-1980s team is beyond me. Anyways, after Walls, we go to one of the greatest cornerbacks of all time, otherwise known as Champ Bailey. He made an impact right off the bat with Washington, with 4 interceptions in his first 6 games, highlighted by 3 interceptions and a pick 6 in a 24-10 win over Arizona in Week 5. And his presence was a big reason why Washington made the playoffs, as well as why he finished 2nd in Defensive Rookie of the Year voting. From there, all Champ Bailey ever did in the NFL was make it to 12 Pro Bowls, receive 3 first-team All-Pro and 3 second-team All-Pro nominations, lead the league with 10 interceptions in 2006, and with 24 passes defended in 2002, finished 2nd in Defensive Player of the Year voting in 2006 behind Jason Taylor, and have 52 interceptions. Many call him the best cornerback of the 2000s, and it's not hard to see why when you look at the numbers and when you watch him play. And finally, after Bailey, the last guy on this list is one of the greatest safeties of all time. Because with 4 interceptions in his first 6 games in the NFL comes this man right here, San Francisco 49ers safety Ronnie Lott. He played 14 seasons in the NFL and got off to an incredible start after a rookie season in 1981 where he won the Super Bowl, led the league with 3 pick sixes, started every game and received Pro Bowl and First Team All-Pro honors, finished 2nd in Defensive Rookie of the Year voting behind Lawrence Taylor, and even received some MVP votes. Lott ended his career as a 4-time Super Bowl champion in San Francisco, a 10-time Pro Bowler, a 6-time First Team All-Pro, a 2-time league leader in interceptions when he had 10 in 1986 with the 49ers, and had 8 in 1991 across the state with the Raiders, as a member of the All-1980s First Team and the All-1990s Second Team, and as a Hall of Famer with 63 interceptions, which ranks 8th all-time. So if we're looking at defensive backs since 1980, so going back over 40 years, to have 4 picks as a rookie in their team's first 6 games, at the absolute lowest end, you got a league leader in interceptions and one of the better ball hawks of the 2000s, and you've got Chuck Cecil, one of the best safeties and hardest hitting safeties of his era. Earl Thomas might be in the bottom half of guys on this list, and he was the best safety of the 2010s. You've got a list of 6 guys, and all 6 of them were at worst really, really good. 2 of them are Hall of Famers. 1 will be in the Hall of Fame, and 1 should absolutely be in the Hall of Fame, and probably will get in sometime within the next 10 years via the Seniors Committee. That's the company that Tariq Woolen is in right now. When you're one of 7 names in a group, and that group consists of some of the greatest to ever play the sport like Champ Bailey and Ronnie Lott, yeah, you're in some really good company. Long story short, I know it's early, but if history is anything to go off of, Tariq Woolen is going to be really, really good for a really long period of time. He might have flown under the radar during the draft, but make no mistake about it. This start is not a fluke, and he's not going away anytime soon. Get your official Jaguar Gator 9 merchandise by going to jg9shop.com, and be sure to like this video, ring the notification bell, and subscribe down below if you haven't already, as it helps the channel out a lot. And be sure to check out Twitch every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern for your chance to play NFL Trivia and win cash prizes. Link in the description below. If you want to see videos like this condensed down to 60 seconds, then follow me on TikTok at Jaguar Gator 9. To see college football videos, subscribe to Jaguar Gator 8. To see highlight videos of players throughout the history of the NFL, subscribe to JG9 Highlights. Also, special thanks to all of our Patreon supporters for helping out the channel. Your support is greatly appreciated. So you can become a patron and request future video topics in the description below.